When we focus on perfection, perfect action, done rigidly, every single day, but for 8 weeks only, we're not gonna be able to stick with it. I don't care how much weight you lost in that 8-week challenge, it's gonna come right back on. I don't care how on track you felt during that 8-week challenge, you're gonna get back off track, because when we aim for perfection, we almost always fail. What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Strength, the podcast for women. I'm Jaime, personal trainer, nutrition coach with over a decade of experience helping women just like you build muscle, build their confidence, and I truly have a no BS approach to fitness and nutrition. So my main goal is really to cut through the noise, as real as it can get. I mean, seriously, come as you are. No gimmicks, no extremes, just real practical advice to get stronger, move better, and fuel your body without the obsession. Okay? Glad to have you back. Whether you're brand new to strength training or you've been lifting for years, Strength, the podcast for women, my aim is for it to be your go-to space for expert insights, candid conversations, not just with me, but with other experts in the field, and the occasional tough love pep talk. My clients know that they can always come for me for a tough love Jaime pep talk to really help keep you focused on what really matters, which isn't just fitness and nutrition. Mind-blowing, right? Your life matters. Your kids matter. The things you enjoy outside of fitness and nutrition matter. Your job matters. There's so many other things that matter outside of this world, and my goal is to really help you find the balance. So today we're going to talk about the 5 most overrated fitness tips and what to do instead. Okay? We all know, whether it's from somebody at your work that wants to comment, like no lie, when I was working, I used to be a teacher, almost every time somebody saw me eating a salad for lunch or having vegetables with my lunch, people would say, "Oh, are you trying to lose weight? You look great. Why are you eating that?" There's no shortage of advice in the fitness world, right? I mean, if it's somebody at work making comments on what you're doing, or if it's even people that think they know what they're doing on Instagram preaching, the advice and, whatever you want to call it is rampant. There's no shortage of it. But not all of it's worth your time or your sanity. In fact, some of the most popular tips out there are downright BS, overrated. So grab your coffee, lace up your barefoot shoes, or don't, because this is a podcast and you don't need to be working out right now. And let's dive into the 5 most overrated fitness tips, and more importantly, what actually to do instead. All right. Number 1 is the idea that we just need to eat less and move more. Okay, ladies. Almost everybody listening is likely a woman 35 plus. If you're not, welcome. If you're a man, if you're under 35, if you love a woman that is 35 plus, this is a space for you. Fitness and nutrition tends to span, right? Like genders and sexes and income levels and all kinds of things. So there's definitely space for everybody here. But the people I'm really talking to are women 35 plus, because a lot of us are dealing with similar things. We've got similar nutrition and fitness trauma from growing up in the 80s and 90s, right? We have busy lives right now. A lot of us are parents. A lot of us are dealing with hormonal changes. And so this piece of advice of just eat less and move more has been something that we have been fed and told constantly, and I still hear it. And while yes, there's a seed of truth, if you eat less and move more, you are very likely going to lose weight, but it completely ignores the complexities of metabolism, of hunger, what it actually takes to stay consistent long term, not to mention the enjoyment factor. Like, does that sound fun? To just eat less and move a lot and live that way for the rest of your life? No, it's not practical. All right. I want you to imagine somebody that you have seen in the past that you have admired, right? Maybe you've admired their body on the beach in a bikini. And most likely, now come on, we've all been there, right? We've all been there, especially as like women when we're, admiring people. So we're not looking at these 20 somethings that are all, skinny and all that stuff. Usually we're admiring the people that kind of look like they reflect our similar lifestyle, but they look fit, right? They look energetic. They look happy almost all of the time. They're not just looking super skinny. These are people that look fit and they have a glow about them. Guaranteed, this is somebody who not only is very active, so we got that part right of move more, but they also eat a lot. And this is something as women we are missing. These people are eating a lot. Fit and active people with muscle and minimal fat, with vibrance and energy. These are not people that eat grass and celery all day. These are people that eat a lot of calories. Now, are they eating a lot of processed foods and fast foods? No. All right. But they are eating a lot of calories. These are not people that are often hungry. They lead something called a high energy flux lifestyle. And this is something that I want to delve more into in a future episode. But people that live a high energy flux lifestyle, it takes calories to fuel that process. It takes calories to keep themselves running in order to build muscle, in order to tell your metabolic fire that it's okay to burn nice and high, in order to maintain a fitness routine that you love, that you can recover from, and that you are able to be consistent with. You don't need to eat less per se. You just need to eat more optimally. Like I said, a lot of these people are eating a lot of calories, 2,000 calories plus. All right. If you're starving, and because you're cutting calories too low, you're exhausted because you've suddenly decided to do 2 hours of cardio a day and you're barely eating, guess what? You're not going to be able to stick with that. You're not going to be sending the right signals to your body to build muscle. And let's not even get started on how this approach impacts your mood or your energy levels. And we all know that when your mood and energy levels are impacted, the mood of everybody else around you is impacted as well, right? So what do we do instead? I want you, instead of constantly focusing on eating less and avoiding things, I want you to focus on this idea of crowding out your diet. I want you to focus on crowding out your diet with whole foods, as minimally processed as possible, protein, fruits and vegetables, beans and legumes. No, you don't need to avoid carbs. Try to eat whole, minimally processed carbs like farro and bulgur. If you know me, you know that I'm obsessed with those grains. Try them. I'm serious. They're so good. Brown rice, quinoa, whole grains in their natural forms, as minimally processed as possible, and then include some of those higher processed things, but in minimal amounts. So instead of thinking about avoiding them, crowd it out with everything else. Keep your protein nice and high, and focus on building a solid foundation of strength training. All right, we're going to talk about that a little bit more in a minute, but focus on fitness as a means to build you up as well. So this is what I want you to think about in terms of crowding out your fitness lifestyle. I don't want you to be jumping on the elliptical thinking about burning calories. I don't want you to think about fitness as a way to make you smaller. I want you to aim for goals in the gym and in your cardio workouts as well. I'd like you to eat around your maintenance calories. So for encouraging muscle growth and strength development and minimizing bone density loss, all of the things that we want, and supporting endocrine health, optimal metabolism, all that's good stuff what we want. We're going to want to be eating, like I said, 90% whole and minimally processed foods, but also eating enough calories to avoid low energy availability, which is a whole other thing I'm going to touch on again in a future episode. While you are eating close to your maintenance calories, which is going to be likely 2,000 calories plus for most women. Yes, I know that number sounds scary to a lot of people, but if you have never actually spent time eating 2,000 calories plus, then I really highly recommend you spend some time doing that, because what you will learn about food and yourself is mind-blowing, okay? So while you're focusing on all of that, I want you to follow a program, a strength training program designed for optimal progressive overload. Progressive overload, keyword there, it means slowly doing more over time, okay? It can be more weight, it can be more reps, it can be having better form, improving your energy, going more often, okay? Doing more over time. We're gonna focus on recovery, not just between sets of your actual training, but between workouts, and that includes smart cardio, okay? The kind of cardio that forces your body to adapt and change. Yes, that's right. We're ditching this idea of this hour-long cardio session designed to just make you feel exhausted and tired, but doesn't actually encourage your body to change. Think about that. How often have you partaken, whatever form of that word you want to use, in cardio with the intention of just going and making yourself tired and thinking you have a good workout, okay? Are you actually pushing your body to adapt and change? Really think about that. We tend to think that way in strength training. What am I doing that I'm going to get stronger? I can use a bigger weight next time, right? It's kind of naturally embedded in. But we don't often do that with cardio. Are we trying to get faster? Are we trying to get better? Are we trying to get stronger? Are we trying to improve our time? Are we? All right. I have programs just like this in the Squad, which is my small group coaching program. If you're interested in checking that out, I have all of these laid out for you. Please feel free to check out the link in the bio. It's not flashy, but I promise you, it works, okay? Tip number 2, going back to cardio, that cardio is the best way to lose fat. Listen, cardio is not the enemy. I feel like we have this big pendulum swing in this everywhere, right? There's pendulum swings all of the time. But if we're thinking about it in the fitness and nutrition industry, cardio is one of those pendulum swing things, right? We always used to think that cardio was the thing we needed to do to lose weight. Oh, don't strength train until you've done cardio in order to lose weight, okay? We now know that cardio isn't actually that great for helping you to lose body fat. Again, I can go deeper into that in a different episode, but we know that now. But because we figured that out, because science kind of showed that to us, the pendulum swung in the other direction. You had people all the time saying, ditch cardio. You don't need to do any cardio. All you need to do is strength training. You can get the body of your dreams. Okay, look, I'm not here to drag your Peloton away from you or your love of your weekend runs. Cardio is phenomenal for your heart health. It is phenomenal for your mobility and your health overall. And yeah, sure, it burns calories, but that's kind of where its fat loss superpowers stop. Sure, it burns more calories in the session, but that doesn't really mean more fat loss overall. The reality is cardio alone is not going to help you maintain muscle mass, and it's not going to help you maintain bone density. Muscle is your fat burning bestie. Muscle is going to help keep you active and mobile as you get older. You want to be able to get off the toilet when you're 80, right? More muscle equals higher metabolism, equals a healthier, more mobile body, and it's going to equal better long-term results, okay? So we want to be combining smart cardio with strength training for optimal results. No, we're not ditching cardio. It is necessary, okay? It is healthy, but many of us go in terms of cardio in order to get tired, in order to get sweaty without aiming for improvements and then allowing for that proper recovery in between. So again, I'll cover cardio a little bit more in another episode, but what to do instead is really make strength training your foundation. And I want you to use cardio as a tool and not the main event. So I want you to think of cardio as a side dish to like your entree, which is strength training. It's still delicious. It still has a place on the table, but it's not the star of the plate, okay? What I usually recommend for blanket recommendation for most people is going to be somewhere in the nature of 3 to 4 strength training sessions per week and 1 to 3 high intensity interval training sessions in your week as well. I would like you to hit your steps. So somewhere in the 8 to 12,000 range. Does it need to be exactly 10K steps? No. The point is, when people wear fitness watches and get somewhere in the nature of 8 to 12 steps, it means that they are generally active enough to maintain, positive health markers. So I'd like you to focus on that as well. And I would like you to sprinkle in other cardiovascular activities outside of this, because I know when I said 1 to 3 HIIT sessions, many of you might have groaned. That's okay. I said 1 to 3, okay? 1 day, 20-minute session of HIIT a week. I really believe you can tolerate it. 1 to 3 sessions of HIIT a week. You can do it in fun ways too. Future episode. But I want you to hit your steps. But I don't want you to avoid cardiovascular activity that you enjoy. You're going to hear a lot of people say, oh, you can't do too much cardio. You can't run. You're going to lose your muscle, all this stuff. Don't listen to that. The only times that those things really apply when we're talking about top level, 1% of the population tier. Yes, if these people are doing 2 hours of cardio every single day and expected to maintain their muscle, they're not going to. But if you want to go for a jog a couple days a week, you're not going to risk your muscle mass. So please don't worry about it. I want you to sprinkle in cardiovascular activities you enjoy, especially if those jogs or that kickboxing session, or you're still meeting up with Billy Blank's Tae Bo on your TV screen. I don't know where you got the DVDs, but if you know what I'm talking about. If you know, you know. If that helps you get your steps in, that's going to be a very fun form of cardiovascular, okay? So something you enjoy, whether it's Billy Blank's Tae Bo or whether it's that Beachbody video or if it's a jog, I want you to do something that you enjoy and it supports your overall health. So biking, long walks, swimming, tag with your kids, hiking, all of these things that keep you generally active are going to be net positives, all right? So again, cardio is not the best way to lose fat, but it does have a place in your routine as long as we're balancing it with strength training. Tip number 3, well, I will say most overrated tip number 3 is no pain, no gain. All right. Again, there's a hint of truth to this. It needs to be challenging in order to change you. But have you ever had one of those workouts that left you so sore you felt like you couldn't sit on the toilet properly for days? Some people wear that like a badge of honor. Have you noticed that? Some people walk around like, oh, I'm so sore. Like it's proof that they're getting results. Oh, and I mean, no judgment. I've done that. I've definitely done that. I probably still do sometimes. But let me tell you, soreness is not the same as progress. So this is where I want you to make sure that you're adjusting your mindset. Just because you're sore doesn't mean you are making progress. Being sore means that, yes, you challenge your muscles in a new way. Maybe you did an exercise you're not used to doing. Maybe you did it in a different plane of movement. Maybe you did it with a different weight. Sometimes it can be completely random when our bodies get sore, when they don't. There's even genetic differences with people in the way that some people are very, very prone to being sore after workouts. I've had clients that are literally like hesitant to start a program with me because they're like, you don't understand. My soreness for like 2 weeks after starting a program is crippling. So we have to go really, really slow. And there's other people who rarely ever feel sore. So soreness is, yes, indicative that something happened in your body, but it's not necessarily indicative of progress. In fact, constantly chasing soreness can actually lead to burnout, overtraining, injury, and generally falling off the wagon. All right. So what do we do instead? What should we focus on? Keywords. Do you know them? Do you know them? 2 of them. One of them starts with a P. The next one starts with an O. Progressive overload. And that's that fancy way of saying gradually challenging your body by adding weight, adding reps, adding intensity over time, right? We're progressively overloading ourselves. And yeah, is progressive overload going to lead to soreness sometimes? Yeah. Should you always be sore? No. Should you be sore occasionally? Sure. But if you're one of those people who like never get sore, should you beat yourself up over it? No, okay? Your muscles don't need to be screaming for mercy in order to grow stronger, in order to get bigger, okay? In fact, you'll actually get used to the stress that you're applying onto your body. And as long as you're recovering properly, I'm going to say that again, as long as you're recovering properly, i.e., ladies, you need to eat, okay? Eating is part of that, i.e., eating, sleeping, managing stress, sleeping, another one, you need to be sleeping as much as you can control. Again, we'll do another episode about sleeping. As long as you're recovering properly by eating, sleeping, and managing stress as well as you can, you not only won't be sore every workout, but you shouldn't be, okay? You will get used to it. For me, there's certain muscle groups that it is like no matter what I do to them, it feels like I'm never sore because my body's just used to it, all right? Trust me, you're going to thank me later when you stop chasing the Bambi legs every single workout. Overrated tip number 4 is, do I love this one. I love to hate this one, all right? That light weights are for toning and heavy weights are for bulking. All right, first of all, I want to take those toning and bulking, and I just want to throw them in the trash. I don't really like either of them. I tend to use them when I really need to get your attention. So sometimes when I'm online, I'm on Instagram, Facebook, whatever, I might do a live or give a resource or something where I'm talking about why women should bulk or here's how to get tone. I use it very sparingly because these words drive me nuts. If I had $1 for every time I heard somebody say, I don't want to lift heavy because I don't want to get bulky, I just want to tone up. All right. I would be filthy rich. I would have a dream gym by now that I have had built by somebody else in my backyard of my mansion because this is still the message that's being sent. Now, let me clear this up. First of all, there's no such thing as toning. All right, I know what you mean. I don't want to make it seem. I don't want to gaslight you. All right, I know what you mean when you say toning. You want that definition of muscle with the skin that lays on top, so you can actually see it. You want to look like you lift. You want to have like that little bit of a definition. And I know what you mean when you say you don't want to be bulky. You don't want to have big bulky muscles, whether they're covered by fat so you just look big and bulky, or you imagine like a bodybuilder on stage and you're like, well, I don't want to look like that, right? I know what you mean, but what I want you to take away from this is there's actually no such thing as toning. There's only muscle building and fat loss, okay? So when we're talking about toning, we're talking about building muscle and losing body fat so that there's not a lot of fat over the muscle so that you can see the definition of that muscle. And then when we're talking about bulky, we're talking about one of two things, either building a lot of muscle and still having very little body fat so that you can see all of that massive bulky muscle underneath. So think about your bodybuilder walking on stage, but bulky can also refer to building muscle, but also having fat on top of that muscle. So we just kind of look bigger overall. And yeah, you're going to have some muscle definition under there, but you know, it's just bulky. All right. And lifting heavy automatically does not make you bulky. All All right, what's going to make you bulky is either eating in a calorie surplus, so eating more calories than you are expending, while also lifting weights. So we're building muscle, but we're also adding body fat. And even then, I mean, it's not going to happen like super quickly. Okay, you don't just build massive amounts of muscle super quickly, which is why the other idea of bulking, when we're thinking of that bodybuilder walking on stage, guys, I wish it was that easy. Not that I want to look like that. But trust me, with how often I train and for how long I've been doing it, I would look like She-Hulk by now if that were true. And I don't, okay? I don't. And so, what do I want you to do instead? I want you to lift heavy, all right? I do not want you to fear being bulky, because lifting heavy, and heavy is relative, again, future podcast episode, don't get away with yourself, Jamie. Lifting heavy for your body is going to be the thing that encourages your body to not only maintain muscle, which we all want as we get older. We want to maintain lean muscle, but we also would like to build it. It's also going to be the thing that helps you to avoid losing bone density. Ladies, we are at a high risk, especially the older we get, at losing bone density. Osteoporosis and sarcopenia are things we want to avoid, and lifting heavy weights is going to be the thing that you want to do in order to avoid those things, okay? If you can do, this is a challenge I give my clients a lot. I'll give them a rep range, and I have a formula of what, like I'll say 10 to 12 reps, and this is exactly how I want you to approach it. If you can do 12 reps within my 10 to 12 rep range, if you pick up a weight and you can do 12 reps, then I want you to get heavier weight, because I said 10 to 12. So I don't automatically just want you to randomly hit anywhere within 10 to 12. I want you to use that as a barometer. So I want you to get a heavier weight where you can only do 10. And then I want you to use that weight continuously in your workouts and work up to doing 12. Once you can do 12 again, I want you to increase the weight and bump yourself back to 10. And we're using that rep range to help us figure out what a good weight to use within that rep range would be, all right? But every once in a while, well, actually all the time, I say every once in a while, all the time, what I will do is put in there for one of the sets, I'll say as many reps as possible, using the same weight as you did. I want you to do as many reps as possible. And when these ladies are doing 15, 18, 20, 25 reps with that weight that they said was so challenging they could only do 10, that's when you know, and I know, but most importantly, you know that that is not heavy enough, okay? If you can do 15, 20 reps and your form is still pretty decent, then your weight is too light, all right? Your muscles need a reason to adapt and grow. They need a stimulus that tells them, hey, we're trying to do something beyond what we can already do. If you can do 20 reps with that weight, then it's beyond what you can already lift, okay? You need to push it a little bit beyond that. You need to send the signal, hey, we need to adapt. We need to get better at this. We need to grow, all right? And remember, your nutrition is going to have a big impact on this. Your nutrition is going to help determine whether you're building, whether you're maintaining, or whether you're losing, or whether you're just doing a whole lot of nothing because you're too scared to eat your maintenance calories, because you're too scared to eat anything over 1,700 calories, okay? So these things need to be in conjunction. All right, most overrated top tip number 5. I don't know where the word top came from. Most overrated fitness tip number 5. Okay, let's just roll with it. That you have to be perfect to see results. And the thing about this one is this is one of those subconscious ones. I guarantee you, if I was having a conversation with you right now, if we were in person, you would agree logically that you don't need to be perfect to see results. But yet you subconsciously act like you have to be. Okay? Tell me I'm right. Tell me I'm right. Because I see this happen all the time with my clients and people that I've talked to, is they say they know logically they need to do X, Y, Z and not worry about ABC, but they act as if one bad week, one mistake, one off-track night is going to totally derail them and have them start from the beginning, okay? This one really makes me want to just throw my water bottle across the room. Fitness and nutrition is not about perfection. It's about consistency. And consistency does not mean do it all the time, every single day, always and forever. Consistency means you do it most of the time. Consistency means it is part of who you are, and even when you fall off track because of whatever it is that life throws at you, you still get back on and keep doing it because that is your habit, okay? Nobody nails every single workout or meal. Nobody does. Life happens. It's normal. Perfection is exhausting and unsustainable, okay? And it's not even necessary. Okay, I was just talking to somebody about this the other day, and in regards to nutrition in regards to nutrition specifically, because she was messaging me, just asking for some guidance. So I was trying to help her out, and is already very active. So this woman's about to be 50, already strength training, already following a program. I mean, really just kicking butt in terms of like what she needs to be doing in the gym. Super pumped. Already on track with her nutrition. Like she knows what she's doing nutritionally. And by the way, guys, tracking is not nutrition. Tracking is just tracking, okay? Tracking does not mean you know what you're doing with nutrition. Nutrition is carbs and fats and protein and micronutrients and fiber and vitamin A and C and B and D. That's whole foods, not fast food, okay? That's nutrition. You can be very on track with your nutrition even when you're not tracking your macros and your calories, okay? You can also likewise be tracking your macros and calories to a T and be way off track with your nutrition, okay? The goal here is to be on track with your nutrition and then use tracking as a tool to help refine your results, okay? Just because you're tracking does not mean you're on track. But I say that because I was talking to this woman, and that was one of the things she wanted to know. What are my calories and macros supposed to be? Because I keep getting different numbers everywhere. I have been doing this for such and such time, and I'm tired of doing it. I really want to lose this belly fat. Help me out, right? And so this first question I asked her was, hey, before I get into telling you what I think your macros should be and all this stuff, do you ever just like get tired of tracking? She was like, what do you mean? I was like, do you ever just feel like you're really, really on top of it and you're tracking all the time, and then the results are so slow and you just fall off of it, and it's just so time consuming? She was like, oh my God, yes, I feel that way. And I was like, and then when you fall off tracking, you feel like you're just off, and then you start eating like crap, and then you feel like you have to start over. And she was like, oh my God, yes. I was like, okay, I want to address that first. And this is where we had this conversation about just because you're not tracking doesn't mean your nutrition is off track. You sound to me like somebody that knows how much protein is going to be 30 to 40 grams in a meal. You know to eat vegetables. You know that if you use a bunch of oil in your veggies, you're going to drive the calories up. Like, you know these basics, right? And she agreed. Yes, she does. Okay. I'm not saying don't track, but I'm saying use it as a tool. Are you trying to get a fat loss result right now? Then maybe that tool is going to be really, really helpful, done for a short period of time to help you achieve that goal. But you need to stop expecting, because she says all these things, about, life is busy and I don't expect myself to be perfect, but yet you're acting as if you do expect yourself to be perfect, right? You expect yourself to be able to stick with tracking all the time, and you expect to be able to, have this fat loss phase and lose a little bit of fat, but then you are going to be able to maintain it the whole entire year because you're going to track the whole entire year. It's not realistic. Okay, we need to lean into not just the seasons of the tools we're going to use, but the seasons of our body. Like, we're going to gain a little weight sometimes, then we're going to lose a little weight. And it's up to us to decide, when are we going to be okay with leaning into those seasons, and when are we going to decide to tighten it up a little better? Because the reality is, you're not going to be perfect all the time. It's not going to happen. Stop expecting that when summer ends and you go into fall and you go into cozy sweater season, and then we go into what I lovingly call Hallow Thanksmas Eve, which is the smashing together of Halloween, and that's when it starts with the kids' Halloween candy. Halloween, and then we roll right into Thanksgiving, and then we've got cookies and holiday parties and Christmas and New Year's, and we come out like barely able to breathe, somehow surprised that we feel like crap. Stop being surprised by it, okay? It happens every year. We can lean into it. We can learn to go with the flow. We can learn that perfection is not sustainable, and imperfection has to be part of the process, okay? So, what do I want you to do? Instead of aiming for perfection subconsciously, is I want you to aim for 80%. And sure, you're going to have some weeks where you're hitting 90, you're hitting 100%, and that's amazing. But like we talked about earlier with ideals and then minimums, I want you to operate with the same kind of mindset. And 80% is going to be your average. So we're going to have some 90, 100% weeks. I hope you do, because you should have times where you're grinding, where you're hitting on all cylinders and you're feeling good. And those times, those 90, 100% adherence weeks, those are going to help you make progress. But then when you have to back down to 80%, 70%, 60%, that's going to help you maintain on that stair. So if we think of progress like the stairs, you can either be going up or sometimes rely on flat. It's all right to have that flat line, all right? Because we have the ups as well. But you can't constantly be aiming for that direct upwards line because it's just not realistic. So if we're hitting on all cylinders some weeks, but we're knocking it back down to 70, 60 some weeks, and we kind of overall average this 80% adherence, you're going to be golden. You're going to hit your protein target most days. I would like you to hit it almost all days, except for those sometimes when we're off. Okay, protein is super important, guys. I really want you to get that protein in. I want you to be getting your workouts in, all right? Most weeks, I want you to lift heavy. I want you to focus on goals in the gym. It's not going to happen all the time, but let's hit on all cylinders sometimes, right? But let's let go of the idea that one missed workout or one crappy workout or one workout where we didn't even finish it or one indulgent meal or even a week or a weekend needs to ruin everything. Because the reality is it's only you that's ruining it. Have you seen, I'm sure you've heard this analogy of like, if you find out that one of your tires is slashed, are you going to go around with a knife and slash all your other 4 tires, like, or your other 3 tires? We don't have 5 tire cars, right? Your other 3 tires. No, you're not going to do that. I've also seen other ones recently where it'll show somebody like sipping a cup of water and they spill a little down their chin and then they dump the entire glass of water on their head, right? It's like, the tiny spill of water, you can easily just get a little napkin and wipe it off your chin. But if you're dumping the entire cup of water on your head, like that's you doing that. It's the same with fitness and nutrition. Scientifically, an overindulgent meal or a missed workout or even a week of missed workouts or even a whole entire weekend of eating like crap, literally scientifically is not going to mess up your progress. You're not going to lose muscle after a week of not strength training. You're not going to gain 5 pounds of fat by eating bad for a weekend. I mean, you could theoretically, technically, but it would take a lot in order to do that. Most of us are not eating that amount. So it's not that messes you up, because if you just got back on track, your body would just adjust and keep going. It's only you. It's only your mind that tells yourself that you messed up, that tells yourself that you suck. And then what you do after that, which is likely keep skipping workouts or you start doing cardio. Tell me if this is you. You skip your strength training workouts, you feel like crap, you feel like you're not doing anything. And so when you do have the opportunity to work out, you're going and you're getting your beach body workouts or you're going to that boot camp class at your gym because you know that if you sweat for an hour and you are out of breath for an hour, you will feel successful. You will feel like you did something, even if what you did was still more of spinning your wheels. I would still rather you, if you're going to go 1 day a week to exercise, and it is following a week that you feel like you've been off track, I'd still rather you strength train. I'd still rather you prioritize building muscle, okay? Because it's that important. Okay, soapbox. I guess I don't need to get off of it because this is my podcast. I can soapbox as much as I want. I'm going to leave you with this quote. I'm not leaving it, but the end of the 5 tips thing, I'm going to end it with this quote. All right, I want you to listen very carefully because this is very important. Imperfect action done consistently will always yield results. Okay, I'm going to say that again. Imperfect action done consistently will always yield results. When we focus on perfection, perfect action done rigidly every single day, but for 8 weeks only, we're not going to be able to stick with it. I don't care how much weight you lost in that 8-week challenge. It's going to come right back on. I don't care how on track you felt during that 8-week challenge. You're going to get back off track because when we aim for perfection, we almost always fail. Take that imperfect action. Do it consistently. Hit on all cylinders whenever you can. When you can't, imperfect action. Rely on your minimums, okay? All right, so there you have it. The 5 most overrated fitness tips in the industry and what to do instead. If you've been stuck following any of these outdated nuggets of advice, hopefully now you know. All better. Fixed it in one podcast, right? Remember that fitness and nutrition is not about extremes. It's about building strength. It's about consistency. It's about smart nutrition. And it's about enjoyment and having it fit within your lifestyle. Just because it works for somebody else and just because somebody else is doing it doesn't mean it's going to work for you, all right? If you enjoyed this episode, I would appreciate it more than you know if you would share this podcast with a friend. Maybe some of these messages really resonated. Maybe you have somebody who's still chasing soreness or doing hours of cardio every week. I would really appreciate it if you share it with them, share it on a social media site. Thank you so much for tuning in. As always, stay strong, stay consistent, and I will see you next week.